Hey guys, good morning. Happy Monday to you. If you're just now joining, welcome. If you're watching the replay, a special welcome to you. And we do this every Monday morning starting about 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. All right, so we're continuing with this particular portrait. And let me adjust this microphone. All right. So I need to take a look around. And I did print out another version of this. Sometimes this throws people off when I'll get an email from somebody and they'll say, you got the tone all wrong. The tonal color is not right because I've changed something in the tone when I printed it. But that's not the reason why I printed this, is for a tonal shift or anything like that. It's to be able to see this side of the head and to see the ears and all of that stuff. See more information is what I'm doing. So today I'm wanting to sort of readdress some of the cropping and put in some blue sky in the background. Very faint blue sky because we want to try to draw upon some of the white in the clothing, and we're going to actually tint that just slightly blue, and then we'll also put a little bit of a tint of the blue sky up there, so it can border the face and the hair a little bit more. We'll get more structure to the composition. But it's it's interesting. There's a few things that have sort of worked in our favor with using some of these lighter colors to draw out some of the highlights. So I was kind of testing that last week. So that was more proof of concept, and that's working fine. Again, this isn't the way I work whenever I'm on cotton paper, let's say, because you can't be intuitive on certain papers that are a little more limiting, that you have to be very exact and know from the very beginning where things are going to go. But on this paper, you don't have to be as exact, so that's a nice benefit. Okay, so let me look at where we've got that hair, and I just want to kind of look at we've got to look at the border of the hairline where the scalp is, and then make some decisions about moving that down. It needs to be moved down just a little bit on the left side. Okay, so let's go ahead and choose our weapons here. So these are some of the pencils we've been using, so I don't want to vary too much from that. Trying to readjust my light so that it's not so much of a glare. I want to see if I can get a little bit closer to the project without sharing the top of my bald head with you. Okay, let's see what we can do here. So this needs to come down just a little bit, and I think I'm going to sharpen that first. Hey, good morning, Linda. How are you? Linda's joining us over there on Facebook Live. Good to see you over here. Hope you had a good weekend. Okay, we're going to push this down, and we're going to look at where this structure is right in here. Okay. So I want to pay attention to things like, you know, if I look at this side plane of the head, I can draw some construction lines here to help me. So this major shadow, you know, is right in here. And then I want to look at this line right here, over here, this kind of thing. And then this angle, hope you can see that. This angle comes back in, down, and then back around. So this comes out like this. This is very different from just, you know, tracing an outline when you begin. Nothing wrong with that, but you know, when you are executing in this way and you're rendering in this way, then you can start looking at things and readdressing things. Hey, Shiny, how are you? All right. Well, good to see you over there. Shiny is joining us on YouTube Live. So, all right. Let's move this down just a little bit. And then I want to look at that structure that we just talked about. And we're having, you know, we've got a similar angle if we're looking at some of those shapes with the hairline as it borders this side plane of the head over here. And so I don't want to, you know, I don't want to lose that. Sometimes we can come back in there and you know, redraw some of the skin to overlap some of these areas. But at the same time, I want to think about that angle the whole time. Okay, and then our, let's see, this will be coming down. This area right here. Okay, and then our bow is going to be over here. So I think we'll go ahead and probably put that in there as well. We could even get that a little bit closer if we wanted to. It's not going to change anything or hurt anything, I guess I should say, if we move that bow just a little bit closer than what it is right now. Okay. So emphasizing shadows, I want to adjust my seat here. I've got this awful glare. I don't think you guys do, but I do. So, all right, that's not too bad. Let me know if my head starts getting in the frame, and I will move back. That's a little bit better. I can see this better. Okay. There we go. All right, so this is going to be quite a bit darker over here, only because of the bow. And that bow starts to create a shadow over here. So I'm going to go down like this, and we've got this area. All right, so let me sharpen this one. Okay. This area right in here. Okay. Now I can redefine that just a little bit here. I'll zoom in a little bit more because we're going to be working mostly on the top portion of the head. We'll zoom in just a little bit so you can see that a little bit better. We're not going to be working on the chin today, so that might Might help a little bit if you can see it better. All right. There we go. Come in just a little bit, right in there, and we can move that back out. Oh, no, Linda. So Linda's asking, did I decide not to do the glasses? No, we're going to do the glasses. I just haven't done them yet. So just like I haven't done the bow yet, but we're going to probably start that today. If we get there. Sometimes I get hung up on some other details, and then I don't get back over there to it. But yeah, that's the plan today. Okay. So this angle right in here. Let's take a look at this. I don't want to come down too far with this blue because let's see here. Because if I do, then I'm going to have a hard time lightening that up over there. Hey Harry, how are you? Thanks for joining us. Harry is over on Facebook Live. Okay, so I've got dark. Oh, I guess those are the same. All right, so I don't need both of those. And we'll stick with that one. Okay. So now redefine this edge also. It's okay if it's a little bit too pink at the moment. Actually, it may not be too pink. And come back up. Right in here. Okay, now let's switch over to burnt ochre, 50%. There we go. Harry said, I'd be too scared to add glasses after all the work done so far. Yeah, but the cool thing is, though, is that we're working on sanded paper. So we don't have to be scared, you know what I mean? Because you're able to change things if you need to. So it'll work out fine. And I think it was more important to get an even skin tone and put, that skin everywhere that we wanted early on, and then just keep refining that and working on it. So push this back in here. Okay, I want to make sure I can see both of these references here, because I'll stick this over here. Maybe I can see that a little bit better. There we go. Is we want to create some curve and dimension right in here, and we don't want, so this here comes out a lot, that angle's comes out a lot further over here towards the edge, more than I anticipated. Okay, and then this comes back in though, and goes back out. It's really kind of a mind trick when you're looking at some of the angles before you're creating the curve and the dimension, not to, you have to tell your mind not to pay attention to certain things for a moment, and then you come back to it. I need a darker tonal value over here. Okay. As this gets, all right, so let's use, well, that's going to be a lighter tone. Let me grab brown ochre, 10%, and because I want that. I'm going to make it a little bit brighter for a moment. I want to get that brighter highlight right there. And then we'll calm that back down a moment. Goes up. This comes way over. It'll help define that edge just a little bit for a moment. And then this is lighter right in here. A little too much dust here. Oh, wow. So shiny. It's after midnight over there, huh? I guess I didn't realize that. Okay. So I'm going to draw in the structure of the ear. Since I'm not changing it, I'm not going to, you know, redraw where the ear is located now. If I haven't got that right by now, then it's kind of too bad, you know. I mean, you could do it, but I'm not going to. Okay. So then this structure, this might look a little funny for a minute, look like a robot or a mannequin or something, I don't know. But this little area, you know, it has a particular structure to it. All this gristle that makes up, you know, cartilage that makes up the ear has some peculiarities. And then this thing comes down over here. And this goes back up. And then make sure that I've got enough. Okay, let me draw in some of the negative shapes, or some of the darker shapes rather. So this comes back up, this goes in, pushes back up, and then this curves around. And then we start to see that inner structure right in there. Okay. Comes back up, it peaks over here, and nearly to where the eyebrows are. Right up there. And then this part jets out. Dark area right here. The area that, you know, we're not going to be able to see a whole lot, but enough. And I want to encroach on that area right there just a little bit where this bottom structure creates that lobe. And let's do this. So that is brighter right there, right in here. It has to be a little bit brighter in order to show that there is some area that is pointing outward, you know, is rounded, and so it's catching more light at the pinnacle of that rounded area. And okay, so now you can take this, push that back over right in there. Okay, add a little darker area right over here. Okay. Take a look here. Yeah, it looks as funny as I thought it was going to look for a moment. That's fine. All right. So this area needs to come up more straight, and then this curves over like that, and then this part goes over that way. And so you may be wondering, like, why are you showing all that? Most of that's going to be hidden. And it is, but at the same time, if you don't get some of that structure in there, what can happen is you can start to obscure what this is exactly that you're drawing, and it can actually stand out and start to look funny and weird because somebody didn't take the time to actually make it look like an ear, and they just kind of forgot about the ears. And if you do that, then the viewer is going to look at that and be like, they're going to think in their mind, maybe not consciously, but they're going to look at that and they'll be like, what happened to the ears? What did the artist forget what they were doing? So it is important. Okay, we're going to come back in there. We're going to probably use, this sienna right in there where that dark area is. That way, going to match some of the color of the hair right in there. Okay, so I'm trying to look at these bright and dark values, these structures here. This is what I'm doing, by the way, looking at all of that. So, all right. So that went out just a little bit. So there is a brighter area right in there. It's not going to be this bright, obviously, but it's going to be in relationship to some of the other elements. It'll be bright, and I want it to be brighter at the moment so that I can see it and then dull it down as we progress. Okay, and then this actually, I have to make sure because sometimes my view is skewed, so I want to make sure about that. Yeah, that is right in here. I need a little more structure right there. And yeah, we're going to mute all of these bright colors back down in a moment. And that area comes up just a little bit more right in here. Okay. And over here, I'll redefine that edge right here, and then this comes up like that, and over here. All right. A little bit of a gap right in there. And it curves back over. You really can't see the top of the ear too much because the top of the ear is pretty dark because you're dealing with a shadow that creates that curvature on the top of the ear. But I do need to know where it is. And it does come up just a little bit higher right in here. Right there. Back down. Now there is hair that'll be cutting that off. So that inner portion will be right over here. Okay. Looks like we might have lost connection for a moment. At least with one of the streams. We're streaming on 3 different social media networks. Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. So let me know if you're still there. Looks like maybe we did lose connection. I don't know. Okay. So this comes back up like this. And then comes back out. Okay. Now, use a mid-range value right in here. So it looks like we might, I don't know. If you guys can hear me or see the stream, let me know. It looks like we might still be fighting with a connection there. There we go. We're having trouble with the Twitter connection, it looks like. So I went ahead and just stopped it. All right. So that needs to be a little bit darker. Oh, okay. Okay, thanks, Linda. You're getting speech recognition with the, oh, yeah. Well, that's cool. Is it working? Hopefully it's working. Okay, so then let's push this over here just a little bit. Yeah, I like that speech recognition feature on Facebook. That's really kind of a cool thing. Down right in here and redefine this right here. Here we go. Okay. Now switch over to my smaller reference, and this will, there's a dark shadow. It's coming nearly vertical right here and all the way up. So that's kind of my anchor point. It comes over here as well. There we go. Yeah, Linda's saying the speech recognition is working, but some of the words are off. Yeah, that could be probably due to me mumbling from time to time. I do that when I draw. So okay, this is going to go straight down and over that ear like that. And the other side of that ear is going to be very dark. We always, you always want to remember that the other side of something that is in front of other things is going to have a shadow behind it. That's the way to push something forward, is to put a shadow behind it. Sometimes, even if you don't see that, it's always best to do that anyway. And it doesn't have to be elaborate. It doesn't have to be anything that's extremely dark. Sometimes it can be just a very subtle tone that is a little bit darker. Linda's saying it interprets ochre as acre. That's funny. Yeah. Okay. Push that down here. Right, and then that part's very dark up here and over there. Okay, so let's go a little bit darker there. Sharpen my blue. It's one of the best pencils, dark indigo. It's one of my favorites. It just establishes dark areas very, very quickly and creates the tonal shift that you want, and then you can go back on top of it with color choices that you want. Okay. Now, grab my burnt ochre, brush this just a little bit, even these highlights. Start in the shadow, work my way through the area that is a highlight. My linear stroke, and push this darker tone. This is really a mid-range over all these highlights. You know, I'm not gonna need those, and I probably want to start using a little more pink and red now in the ears. Same way up here. Okay. This will mute all of those very bright areas, though. It'll mute those down a little bit, which is what we want. All right, now let me look. And I'm looking for either Caput Mortem, Mars Violet, and I tell you, doing those live streams that we're doing in the afternoon, my pencils are kind of spread out everywhere, so I have to kind of remember what I've been doing, what I've been using. So, I mean, these are good mid-range values, and it will muddy the hue enough to where it can represent some shadows or mid-range. And so, I mean, we're a little bit of the darker mid-range right here with Caput Mortem. And we're not, you know, we've got more gray in that than we would like in a sienna. So let's do this. Okay. And now, hope I have enough point on this to be able to use it. I think so. And this is very waxy. This is my Derwent Drawing pencil. So I can move this over the entire area, and it'll just kind of muddy some of the things that were standing out. Doesn't mean this is the final color, but it will mute down some of the things we've been putting in here for highlights and for dark areas. It's really a great pencil. Okay, let's take a look at this on the smaller screen. Still a little bit too bright, and that's okay for the moment. You know, it's fine for the moment, and we will maybe just kind of leave it at that, and then we'll readdress that a little later. But we've added, you know, some of the structure back, which is what we wanted, and now we can, you know, we can move along. Except I do want to do this. I want to get that. I want to redraw some of this right in here, just a little bit, just to create some of that curve right in here, and then we'll move along. And what time is it? Oh, I tell you what, it's just such a funny thing how time just flies so fast. You always feel like that you just started, and no, you didn't. Okay, losing a little bit. Oh, so that's the Mars Violet drawing pencil. It's the drawing line from, that's what they call it, Derwent. So let's go up here. Yeah, Mars Violet. Hopefully you can see this. The Derwent Drawing set. I think the largest set they have is, going off my memory here, I think it's 36. Might be, yeah, I think it is 36. Might be 24. I don't remember offhand here. It's not very big, but they're all 100% Lightfast. It doesn't get a lot of attention. I don't know why. I don't know why people don't talk about that pencil more often, that pencil line. And I don't know why people don't, artists don't use it more often. It's a great pencil. It's one of my favorites. This does come out like this over here. Let's see, after we mute all of that down with that Mars Violet, we can come on top, some harder pencils, and we can redefine some areas. I'm using very light pencil, but as you can see, it's not creating this harsh light value on the paper, which is what we wanted. So it's really great to use that Derwent Drawing line and to redefine certain things with it. All right. Still some things that I'm not crazy about with that ear yet, but we're getting there, so it's fine. Okay. I want to lay that aside. Add this to my collection over here, and let's see. So let's do this. Let's look at this background for a moment. And I want a very soft, subtle sky. And I think actually our sky needs to start probably right in here. So using Caran d'Ache Luminance Steel Gray at the moment. Let's get that up here. And we'll have plenty of opportunity to go on top of that and shift that color. I just want to kind of establish where that is first. And we won't be seeing that hair underneath there, so let's not let that bother us if you're looking at that and thinking, what is he doing with that hair? Don't worry about it. I'm not real sure about this yet because I got to get that bow in there. So I'll just suggest it right there just a little bit. But we want to start drawing that bow in. Hopefully we'll do that before we go today. Okay, and then we're going to use some of the same colors and tones because we want some good harmony and balance. Oh, you can't see that. I'm drawing that on the shirt, so let me zoom back out. Didn't realize how far off of the real estate here we went, but there you go. Probably be able to see that a little bit better. Okay, now what I want to do then is I want to grab a very muted down pale blue and use that. So I got to look over here. So I could go with my Polychromos. What is this one? This is that. I can never read these. My eyesight is just really killing me. Light ultramarine, I believe that says. It's so hard to see the descriptions on these. And what is this? Genuine cobalt blue is the blue I got from Luminance here in my hand. So come over here and just kind of test these, see what they look like. This is my color swatching. This is what I do. Kind of like that. This one has a little less red in it, though. Hopefully you can see that. I know it's kind of hard to see, but okay. So probably go with that Luminance for the moment. and probably have some pretty strong choices over there in the Derwent Lightfast line that we could use. So we'll push this in here, and then we're going to lighten this up with a very, very light color, and that will help in brushing this. Oh, so a question's coming in here from Kiyomi. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. I apologize. Asking, how does Lux compare to, say, Pastel Matte? Wish they had samples so I could try it. It's so expensive to buy here in the UK. Okay, so we're talking about the LuxArchival is the one that is expensive and difficult to find in the UK, I'm presuming, because Pastel Matte, I'm guessing, is probably pretty simple to get over there. And, I mean, it's different. It's a different type of paper because it has a lot of tooth. And Pastel Matte, that little tiny bit of rigid tooth is, it's very fine. It's a very fine tooth and small, but yet it is, it's not delicate. It's very rigid. It's not going anywhere. You can be pretty abusive with it. You can abuse it a lot, and it'll respond. It'll bounce back and do what you want it to do, which is a good thing. But yeah, when you're talking about, a comparison between that and sanded paper or LuxArchival. So I don't know if you've used like UArt or something like that, but any good pastel or any good sanded paper is going to have those same qualities of having a lot of tooth, so you're able to draw light over dark, like I'm doing right now. I'm drawing light over dark, So some of those kinds of things are just a slightly easier task on a sanded paper. And LuxArchival, I seem to get even better results doing things like that than I do on some of the other sanded papers. I can be more intuitive, on a sanded paper. So I would encourage you to try it if you've not tried it. But I understand about, maybe it being cost prohibitive, but it is good. I love it. I love the paper. Okay, a little bit lighter there, and then there was a color I wanted to try here. I didn't think it was Mid Ultramarine by Lightfast, the Derwent Lightfast line, but let me look here real quick. Oh yeah, absolutely. You're very welcome. I don't think you'll be unhappy. Just to be honest about it. Now, if you've never tried sanded paper before, then just remember that there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve. It's not going to just automatically be something that you're going to know how to use. There's some different techniques that you could employ that will help you on sanded paper. But the first thing that I did on sanded paper is I didn't think about it being all that different, and I just thought, okay, I'm not going to think about the fact that this is gritty and an abrasive finish on this, and I'm going to use the same techniques that I've always used, even on cotton paper, like Stonehenge. And I just approached it like that, and then I didn't let it bother me. I tried not to let it bother me, and I didn't think in a whole bunch of layers. I just went with some simple layers and laid everything down. And then I just evaluated what I thought about it as I was progressing. And that was the second or third or fourth time that I had used it, that I decided to just be a little more open-minded about sanded paper. In the beginning, I hated it because it was so different than what I was using before that, and I didn't like it at all. So once I decided to just have an open mind about it, came back to it, then it was a much better experience. Okay, let's look at this. Let's do this. It's really odd. I mean, I'm not sure how well this will show up on camera, but this lacquer finish on the Derwent Lightfast Mid Ultramarine is so much darker than the tip of the pencil, the actual pigment of the pencil. And then, and it's actually darker than this one. It has more red in it. But this one looks lighter, but they're pretty accurate on the end of the pencil. But this one actually is a lighter value than this pencil. So that's one of those things that, don't trust, the lacquer finish, and don't always trust, what you're seeing if you lay this down on paper. If I put this down on paper over here, this is so much lighter than the other two swatches that I created there. All right. But I already knew that about that pencil because I've used it before. Okay, now I am going to brush all of this, and looking at this tip of this buff titanium, trying to see if it's a long enough tip at the moment. Let's make a better tip on that. There we go. Okay. Now, this is just one of the nice things about sanded paper. Now that I have a pretty even distribution down, then I can, start to brush this a little bit more. And I want it lighter on top and then fade into this darker area. Oh, thanks, Christine. Christine's watching over there on Facebook Live. Appreciate that. Thanks for coming out here. And maybe you've been here at other times, but I didn't know it. I don't know unless you guys comment that you're there. So, unfortunately. Maybe that's a bad thing. I don't know. I apologize if you feel like that's awful. But I feel like that these live streams are an educational and encouragement opportunity and fun, for artists to watch, because you can watch and see progress. I've seen live streams where they don't draw. They draw a little bit, very very seldom though, and they just talk the whole time. And to me, I don't know. I feel like that artists might get more out of it though if you actually draw and make choices and decisions. So that's why I do what I do. Why I'm drawing instead. So some like it, some don't. But that's just my reasoning behind it. Is if I just sat there and read comments and typed in my responses half the time, or a quarter, or 3/4 of the time that I'm out here, then I'm not going to get a lot of drawing done, number one. And so you're not going to see or experience a lot of the choices that are made. But then number two, I just don't enjoy that experience very much. I know that's not everyone's opinion. That's fine. But I would rather see someone draw and make some choices and decisions. So that's the reason why I do that. Okay, and that is lightening that up quite a bit. which is what I wanted. That's what we want. And so I'm going to put in some of the same colors down here in the shirt because I want to create some color harmony and balance. Okay. Now we've got quite a bit of dust there as well. Christine says she hasn't been here since the blue balloon. Oh, okay. So that's probably been a while, I guess. Well, welcome back. So Harry's asking an interesting question. Do I store my pencils by colors or by manufacturer sets? And mostly right now, I'm doing it by the manufacturer sets. But I've also, I have a bin over here that I use that is not by either one. It's, I think, and I haven't really thought about it. It just sort of happened, and I looked at it, you know, a month or so ago, and I think what's going on is I'm storing my favorites over there. So it's regardless of color or manufacturer, I'm just storing my favorite pencils. You know, some of my favorites over there, and that seems to work pretty well. Okay, I like that. Okay, now let's zoom back out. Whoops, the other way. And we'll add a few of those colors. And we'll probably go over this sky a couple more times just to get a little more even distribution of this color and tone right here. We don't want it to look erratic. All right, so I'll come back over here, and I want to use some of my darker blues in the shirt, obviously, because we're in a shadow. Okay, so I'm going to use a dark indigo. I know this probably is hard to see. I'll create that gradient right there. And then I'm going to come back in here with my my blue I was using a moment ago from Luminance. But I need to sharpen that. There we go. Yeah. What about you, Harry? I'm just curious. Are you using some kind of definite system for storing yours? Okay. Blend that together. You know, sometimes when you're drawing white, sometimes we mistakenly start thinking, "Oh, I got to use a white pencil," you know, and you don't really want to do that. I don't want to do that, because if I use a white pencil, then I'm not going to create much variation, and I'm going to have a very difficult time if I just use shades, like if I use grays and blacks and whites to create a gradient or a dimensional edge on something. And so instead, what I'm trying to do is use as many colors as possible. It's one reason why I love white, because with white, you can use all the colors if you want. You can use, certainly you can use primary colors, right? You can use red, blues, greens, orange, all of the colors, because by definition, white is, it's reflecting, the wavelengths are all there. It's reflecting a lot of things. It's a a color that reflects all these other colors, all the colors that come in contact with it. So those are all the wavelengths. So Christine is asking, do you have a favorite white? You know what? To be real honest, no, I don't. And I don't actually use white all that often. I prefer most of the time using buff titanium and with the Luminance line, and using ivory with Polychromos. Now, I'm more utilitarian in some of the things that I do, and so I'm obviously going to use the Derwent Drawing Chinese white once in a while, but I don't think it's just like the end-all be-all that some artists try to prop it up to be. And, maybe the technique's just different, but it depends on what I'm doing. I'm not going to just use that as like the thing that I'm just always going to use. There are other whites that are more appropriate, I feel like, sometimes. And that buff titanium, it's such a good color. Now, I will say that more recently, though, the Derwent Lightfast line has come out with some beautiful colors. Oyster is one that I really love, and it's a whitish kind of color, a little bit of a hint of some pink in it. They've also got one that is, what is it called? It's like a light aqua or something like that. Should be around here somewhere. Well, I don't see it quickly at the moment, but it's another great one to use. But another color that I like a lot is that it's a lighter color, is this brown, olive brown 10%. That's another great one. But if I want something to be muted down a little bit, maybe I've got it too dark or something, and so, or too saturated in color saturation. If I want to move that back in a more muted direction, then I can use, that Chinese white from Derwent Drawing, and then I can go on top of that with a harder lead pencil, because that's just a really waxy pencil, and that's a great way to use that pencil to your advantage. Oh, that is, you're asking about the olive brown. The olive brown 10%. Christine, that is this pencil right here in particular. It's the Luminance pencil from Caran d'Ache. It's a great pencil. I thought I had some of those nice lighter colored pencils from Derwent Lightfast here handy, but I don't see them. So, hey David, how are you? David's joining over there on Facebook Live. Very cool, Christine. Awesome. Okay, so that is going to be in a more of a shadow, so I'll have to mute that down a little later on. While I had this in my hand, I thought I would hit that, though, really quick. Okay, so I built that up probably enough right there. And I think this is like a jacket, or it's really not a shirt, I don't think. And so the material is a little bit heavier. And then this is going to go back in the other direction. I need to push this over there a little bit more. And okay, just want to kind of hit that and establish, where that is. So David says he's cold. So Harry answered my question earlier, and you said you keeping in manufacturer sets, but thinking of making swatches in blocks of similar colors to help which pencil to use. Yeah, not a bad way to go. Not a bad way to go at all. that's something I toy with. It's kind of the dilemma of a colored pencil artist, right? And we're always trying to figure out what's the best way of storing your pencils and having them around you for quick access, and being able to organize those pencils into a logical method for being able to use them quickly and grab them quickly. But yeah, it's just like a constant. I think it's a constant struggle. And I go back and forth between different things. I've had them grouped by color before in the past. All right. So, but I kind of know, when I'm looking at them, I kind of know which pencil I'm after, and I don't recommend that for a complete beginner, because you're not sure, you don't know all the things about the properties of the pencils when you're just starting out. So I don't think it's always the best choice. All right, so let's do this. Let me look at, what is this? This is pink matter. So I don't have to know if that's going to be the color that I'm going to use for sure on the bow, but I do want to sort of establish where that bow is, and then, so I want to get this drawing done, get it completed. It needs a little pink up in here. Okay, I don't want to get sidetracked. All right, so we've gone up over here, and then all that hair comes back over this way and comes out over here, right in here, like that, and then this area is curved. The nice thing about doing something in the hair, it would be really, really cool to be able to show some of this bow right in here, because that way we can show more of that accessory. And I just think that would be a lot of fun. And this curves back in over this way. We don't have to be married to the reference. We can put the bow where we want, right? What we have to pay attention to is hair on the other side, and hair as it begins right there at the scalp. That's more important, because if we're not careful, we can start to make the head look, too long, too short, all of those things. And so we want to be careful about that. Scoot that loop over right in here, over here. Okay. And then that up over here, create a curve right back here, and then now we've got enough room over here for the other side. Loop that a little bit longer right there. Okay. Actually, this could come out just a little bit more right in there. And right up here. Okay, now I want to push this back. This could be a little bit longer. I'll have to remove this tape. I don't remember how much room I have on the other side of that tape. I think I want to remove that and draw a little bit more over there. So push this out just a little bit and make it come back in. And then we have some nice folds in there that will be great because that will create some movement in that bow, and you'll be able to see, we'll be able to see what that is exactly. Okay. Okay, now on part of this, I'll let the tonal difference of the hair work for us a little bit, but on some of this though, what I want to do is I need to go out just a little bit more over here. What I want to do is get a white and put in there so that I'll have a lighter pink. Actually, let me see how far we've gone over here. Might want to move that over that way just a little bit more. Yeah, that way if we put that white in there, we'll be able to create some lighter values. Okay, now I'm using this Polychromos, so it's very dusty, and it's not going to, last. It's a very thin layer. Some of that's gonna come off. It's okay. At least we got a little bit of a structure here. All right. And so now we'll blow that off, and then we can use a little bit of white. Put that in there and have a little more structure with what we're doing. I think I saw my bald head in the the frame. Sorry about that. Okay, let's do this. Come back this direction. So I'm using this Luminance white. I do need to see how much area I have up here. So I need to take this tape off. It's been on there a long time. That's another advantage of sanded paper, though, is you're not going to have to worry about tape destroying your paper. Look at that new surface. Exciting. Even though it's like less than 1/4 of an inch. Okay, that should be enough. Yeah, so when I get this, we get this framed, we'll go a little bit further down on the top there. Take all that off. Okay. So we got white here. It'll give me a little bit of chance to sort of create a little bit of a dimension right in here. And all right. So got an edge over here. I need to sharpen this pencil. Actually, I need to switch to a pencil that's a little bit longer. So I think I will use the Derwent Drawing Chinese White, and what this will do is it'll give me a chance to draw this in, and then it's soft enough and waxy and soft enough that it's not going to be set in stone or anything like that. It's not a hard lead. Okay, got that sharp enough now. And I want to be careful not to break it, though. It's one thing that can happen pretty easily with some of the harder or softer leads if you're pushing too hard. Come down like this. Move this over. I tell you, this feels like a breath of fresh air. Drawing this drawing this bow on here. It's just so fun. Okay, and that'll come up like this. A little bit of highlight down here because the sun is hitting that. Okay. This is all. I want to make sure I kind of maintain a little bit of a structure to the line drawing there. And if this comes down that far, then I can go ahead and just create that edge over here, move that up over here, and then I'm going to come up this high right in there. That doesn't need to be perfect because it's not perfect in the reference. These strokes are going to be, there's going to be some texture on that that bow, that ribbon, which is cool. And that's all going to be in a shadow right in there. Okay. Now over here, probably went down a little bit too far. There we go. So Shiny's asking, is it because of the Lux you can draw the bow on top of hair? Curious why you did all the hair first. So Shiny, yeah, it is because of using sanded paper that you're able to start putting in excuse me, different colors on top. Like we mentioned earlier, you know, that's one of the advantages of sanded paper, is being able to go light over dark and changing the color entirely. That's one of the cool things about it. Okay, now, and then Harry, you're asking, you like working dangerously, adding in at this stage over so much color. Yeah, well, so that's funny. Yeah, so what I like doing is working intuitively. Not always, but on sanded paper I like doing that. It's fun, you know, to be able to do that. So that, a little bit of a curve. Now I want a little bit of a, more of an angled edge right there. And some of those curves are going to be so fun to do. Okay. Right in there. And then, let's see here. I want to suggest a little bit of this. Now you notice that what we started out with, though, is the Polychromos pencil. Because it's, you know, very powdery on this kind of surface. And I can remove that. You know, at this stage I can remove that entirely if I wanted to. And I didn't press all that hard. So it does give me that option, you know, of removing it. But I did want to push this down into the hair just a little bit more so we can show more of that beautiful, wonderful bow. Just gives us a little glimpse into, you know, the personality and character of the subject, which is nice. Okay, good deal. Now, let's see here. This, I think I want, there's a little bit of a structure where that part of the bow comes up like this. Now that we zoomed out a little bit more, we can show that. That light's probably creating some problems for you. Let me do this. That might make it where you can see it a little bit easier. My camera will adjust to the lighting right there. Okay, and I can still see it enough. I'll just turn that on one level. That helps me a little bit. I think you can still see it. Okay, so now sharpen that pencil. See how dull that got right away? I mean, it just ate up and used a lot of that pencil, but it's a very waxy pencil, very, very soft. Ah, it's exciting. This is so fun, guys. Okay, so this structure right here. Come back with, let's see, what do I do with that pink? I want to use, okay, here we go. We'll get this sharpened a little bit more. Use this pink matter lake. Okay. Now, right in there, other side of that. Okay. So now what I can do then is push more of that white into that area that is, creating the loop in the bow, right in there. Eventually, we'll have a highlight here, and so I want to think about, where that highlight might be as I'm putting this white down. But the other thing that this is doing is it's serving another purpose, and that is it is actually covering up some of the layers that I did underneath here within the hair. Okay, and this is, this is a little bit bright right now, so we will darken that down as we progress. All right, and then over here, especially on that edge, the rim of this bow over here in the shadow, that's a cool thing to be able to show. Let me see if I can show you this. Show some of that detail where that little edge is a little bit darker value than right in here. Right in here, though, we're getting a little bit of light reflection. So it's a muddied shadow just a little bit. And then over here, we've got a darker edge. Right in here, a little bit of a darker edge as well. So that's a fun thing that we'll be able to show some of those details right in there. Okay. Might be enough right in there. Okay. Now you can tell there's a whole lot of dust here. So I don't want to lose some of that pigment. I can work it in here. Muddied some of my detail. That's okay though. At this point, it's not going to matter. Okay. So now let's blow that off, get rid of some of that dust. And it might be time to recreate a little bit of the structure, the line drawing in there. And so it's a subtle, difference in some of the darker areas. So I don't want to use a really, really dark pencil. More of a mid-range, so I can grab this Caput Mortem and push that in here just a little bit. And then this changes directions just a little on top. Folds under, right in there. And then I want to look at this structure right here. I just want to lightly suggest that right now. And then move this up that way. Okay. That probably needs to be a pink color. And let's see. We'll go ahead and use that same one we've been using. There we go. And then down here. Okay, now I've got this darker area right there. Now that edge gets lost in the tonal value of the hair, but for right now I want to kind of draw that and know where that is, right in there. Same way over here. I want to know kind of where that edge is, what I created as an edge right in there. Ah, that's going to be so nice. We can put some of the final details. We'll be putting some of that pink reflection into the hair, which will be nice. Okay, let's come back this way. Like this. And not like that. Okay. So I want that to be right over here. And then this comes down. Yeah, so Linda's asking if I ever use pencil extenders. Yeah, I do once in a while, but not real often because I just try to modify my stroke most of the time. It's just like where if I'm using a real tiny pencil, sometimes it gets irritating, to use something that small. But on the other hand, it's just so much preparation and time out of your drawing time to put it in the extender that I just, it just gets too much in the way sometimes to do all those things. But yeah, I do that once in a while. Just not all the time. I should probably do it more, but like I said, it just feels like it's slowing me down. And I just want to keep, some momentum when I'm drawing usually. Do you guys find that happens to you where you have some momentum in your drawing and then all of a sudden there's just something that slows down that momentum and you start to stop and work on something, some logistical issue or whatever, or using a pencil extender or something like that, and you feel like that, you're having to ramp back up and get that momentum going again. Hope I'm not alone there. Yeah, and so this bow also has a lot of colors in it. It doesn't just have pink in it. So that's going to be fun. So David understands what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's just like, man, I don't want to slow down now that I started doing this particular part, but anyway. I know it probably makes more sense sometimes to use an extender at times. The other thing is that when I get to a point. Oh, yeah, Harry, you could do it. You, because if you're on the sanded paper, then it's kind of error proof in a way. I mean, you're not having to be married to something if you decide you want to change it. But what I was going to say is, oftentimes, if I'm using a pencil and I'm thinking, okay, light pressure, and I should be holding it way out here for light pressure, it makes me do that. But then sometimes I'm just using the pencil right up here, choking up on the point of the pencil, but I'm still using a very, very light touch. And I didn't do that early on. In early days when I was drawing, I held the pencil that would give me the greatest amount of control for the pressure that I wanted. So, but yeah. Yeah, David's got a good point there that extenders can be very expensive too, yeah. And, I mean, they're fine, I guess, but it's not necessary, just like it's not necessary to hold your pencil a certain way if, you're trying to do a light stroke. It helps in the beginning, though, I will say that, and I encourage new students to hold their pencil that way because it is a reminder to you to lighten up the pressure when you're needing to be very light in your pressure, because that's what colored pencil is all about. The point of the pencil matters, the pressure matters, and the layering process matters. But you can start to kind of skip steps, right? When you start drawing for a while and you understand those things, you know how to affect the result on the paper. But in the beginning, you don't. And so there's a lot of things that you have to think about. So, yeah, right now it looks like I just photoshopped in a little out of focus bow or something. That's just the way it goes in the beginning, right? So I need this edge over here. And this, everything's going to be pink later on, but okay. All right, so we've been going a while. I think we're going to stop for a little bit because we got to take a quick break and come back at 5 p.m. And at 5, we're going to switch focus, and I'm going to start a new shelter-in-place drawing stream at 5 o'clock tonight. I hope you can join. And we're going to be going over hair, how to draw hair. And we're gonna look at several different types of hair. So, yeah, that's an interesting way of thinking about it, Harry. Being able to glue the other pencil to the pencil you're using. So, yeah, I like that. So Christine says, true, it's all learning by trying. There you go. That's right. Yep, you've got to keep, in my opinion, you have to keep pushing yourself and keep getting uncomfortable and doing things that are outside of your comfort zone. If you don't ever do that, then I think, it just, for me, it just doesn't, it doesn't keep it alive and keep it interesting if I'm not pushing myself in some way. So anyway, so yeah, we will go, and this has been a lot of fun, guys. Hopefully you can come back and join me at 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, where we will discuss hair. We've got several things that we're going to take a look at. Yeah, it's going to be pretty late for you, Harry, I guess. All right, I'm going to go ahead and sign off, and thanks, guys, for coming over here, and hopefully this was helpful. And until I see you next time, then, stay sharp. Bye-bye.